folks, I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
And today we're taking a look at Alexandria. Now this is a game based on the very famous Alexandria library and the fact that it burned down, which was not a good thing. And in this game, you are playing one of four people who has a specific goal. The library is burning down. Maybe you're starting the library on fire. Maybe you are trying to rescue things from the library. But you have very specific goals. Here's how it plays. Okay, so the board is going to be set up, the library, kind of in a sprawling way. On the back of the different tiles, there's like a lighthouse and a direction, and you're going to be using these as you place them out. And it kind of builds the library in sort of a random pattern. So you have kind of a sprawling library here. Each character has a starting tile that matches their color. There are four different characters you can be in the game. You can be Tabitha, the scribe, trying to save books. This guy who's trying to save a secret society of mathematicians. She's trying to burn the library down, and this guy's just trying to help other people. The game is very, very asymmetrical. Each person has special abilities that they have, a kind of a reaction ability if the room they're in is burned, and players also have their own specific deck of cards. They'll have a handful of cards that they're going to be starting the game with, and players are trying to get points. Points is the whole point of this game, as it is with many different games, and so whoever has the most at the end. How you get points is going to be different for many of the players. The game takes place based on this turn track. Now we've seen this sort of thing in other games, but the way this works is, let's say the turn order is like this, so this means it's yellow's turn. They take an action. Maybe their action costs 2 time units, so they move here. Then blue is next, so they'll take an action that costs 1 time unit. Then green might do one that costs 3, red might do one that costs 1. And now it's red's turn again because they're farthest up, so they might do one that costs 1. Then blue will do one that costs 1. Then blue does one that costs 3, and so on and so forth. When your actions get to the end, you have no more actions that you can take. The different actions that players can take are listed on a help card here. You can move to an adjacent room for 1. You can draw a card from your own personal deck for 1. And you can just wait and do nothing for 1. And then you can take cards, actions, or actions on your board. So you're going to have different cards that you can play. So for example, this fire starter lady, the Russian secret agent, she can discard 2 furniture tiles in her room, put a fire token in that room, and if there's no lecterns or other heroes in this room, she immediately scores 4 points. As long as no one sees her, she'll score 4 points. So she's going to get rid of 2 of these furniture tiles. Now you'll notice there's different furniture tiles out here. There's armoires, lecterns, bookshelves, chests, braziers, etc. And many of them are face up. If you're in a room, all the furniture tiles in the room are face up. If you go next to or any room you're adjacent to. So if this guy moves here, I would then turn all these furniture tiles face up so I could see what's in these rooms. And many of the furniture tiles will have to do with cards. You'll notice hers, if there's no lecterns in the room, it will start things. Here she can discard a chest or armoire in her room, and then she scores 3 points. And so there are different ways that players can do these. Now when you play a card, this is how many time units it costs. But if it has black time units at the top, you can spend other people's time units if they're in the same room or adjacent to you. So if you're near other people, you can spend time units. Some cards you can play as a reaction to someone else's turn, so after helping someone out. So whenever you assist another hero, whenever you are using someone else's time units, you're assisting them, that not only that gives you points for doing that, but it's not still, it's still annoying when other people are using your time units. Then she could accidentally take a rescue card from that hero, put a fire token on that hero's room. Again, her whole thing is about starting fires. Players are going to be rescuing people, and there's different famous people. These people have different types here. And so he's a Roman historian here, and this gentleman is a Roman mathematician. This person's an Egyptian philosopher. You're also going to be rescuing books. Here we have famous books throughout time, or that were in the library itself. There's the Odyssey, etc. And these also have 2 different stats on them. And then there's items. So maybe the spear, or the Ankh bracelet, or this toy. Some things that are in this game are part of a collection. This is a traveler's collection. If you get 2 or 3 cards in a collection at the end of the game, you'll get bonus points. Here's Cleopatra's collection, etc. So many of the cards are going to allow players to take these. Now here's the deal. I really can't tell you much more about the game and how these cards work, because each character plays very differently. She's running around trying to set fire tokens in the library. He's going around trying to help other people. He gets bonus points. This guy's going around trying to save mathematicians, and she's going to rescue books. And each one has a very different deck of cards. Some of the cards that the player has have an anchor symbol on them, and when you play a card like this, you're going to put it into the anchor slot here, which means you can use it once per each turn. And players also have special abilities. At the end of a turn, 4 rooms are going to burn, or 1 room per player anyway. And if there's a fire token on the room, that room's going to burn. Other than that, you start with the room that's attached to the fewest number of other rooms. And so rooms are going to be slowly burning. If you happen to be in a room that's burned, you'll have some sort of reaction that takes place, which is usually bad, except for the lady starting fire. She wants to be in a room that does that. This will continue on until all the rooms in the library have been burned, and whoever has the most points is the winner. There's a couple other things involved with the game. There's things called dramatic endings. Each player will be choosing some of these to put into a deck of cards, and each round they're going to change something about the game. And it's usually going to benefit the hero whose dramatic end is there. And then one card will have a dramatic end at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, Octavia scores 2 points for every politics book card she has. Every other hero gets 1 point for each politics book card that she hasn't gotten. Only one of these is going to happen on the final round. The rest will come up in the rounds before that, and you'll use the top part of the card. And that's pretty much it. There's a lot of clarifications to cards. There's these reference cards here, and this tells you the different people in the deck, because some, you know, like the one guy gets points for mathematician, someone might get points for having things of the same type, etc. So you're trying to go around and rescue stuff or start fires or whatever your goal is. And at the end of several rounds, whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. Okay, component-wise, the rooms are fine. I like the background of the rooms when you can see here. That looks pretty good. These tokens I'm less enthusiastic about. So here we have a lectern, a bookshelf, an armoire, and a carpet, for example. And because they have these big, thick white borders with another border inside that, your eyes kind of, when you kind of look at this board, this stuff all starts blurring together. And I found that unfortunate. I wish there was an easier way to quickly tell. Because, like, for example, this guy here he's kind of concerned about lecterns. He's always running around for lecterns. And so it just would be easier if they were easy to see. Also, these folks are constantly falling over. And they're blocking views. The standees are nice. The artwork is good, but Now, these are great. The player boards with the scrolls, I do like them. I like how those look. I like the cards, the artwork and the symbology on the cards. The quality of the cards is good. The victory points are nice. But the standees are the biggest problem with the game. You say, well, what's wrong with the standees? Well, because see these little black things I have here? Those don't actually come with the game. The game comes with this. And when you put this in, a tall standee like this, they constantly, well, they're not going to do it now that I'm having it on video, but they were constantly falling over, consistently. So that was kind of a pain. But other than that, I was pretty happy with the component quality. It's a little busy to look at, but the card artwork and the different things, this is pretty simple. I mean, it's about gameplay, which we'll get to now. Now, component-wise, the best part of the game is the cover. The cover looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, other than that, I mean, the artwork and everything is fine. It's not fantastic. I found that overall, Alexandria is a little wonky sometimes. Like the setting up the library is kind of, you set it up and it's in this weird shape, but it could have been a square and it's not that different. Or like having all the pieces face down, and when you move in a room, you turn them face up. Is it that big of a difference? Is it like, oh, there's a rug in that room? No, it doesn't really matter. I found that was just a little fiddly, and then also just looking at the board visually, that was a bit of a struggle. And also another minor thing, there's like 3 reference cards. Why would you do that? Could be 4 players. Why not have 4 reference cards? That sort of thing I never understand. But what do you think of the game, the theming?
I thought the theme was pretty cool, trying to either, well, actually almost everyone's main goal is to try to rescue stuff to get points. And then have like their own little thing that they have.
Yeah, I mean, the game is really asymmetrical. I mean, really, like the one guard, his whole goal is to be near other people. And they're like, I'm going to spend some of your time units. He's like, well, thank you. I'm here to help. And he gets points from doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then the one lady, her goal is just like set things on fire. Move around, set things on fire. And the other guy's like trying to secretly steal stuff. And so some people want to be around other players, other people don't. But the decks are completely different. I don't think there's a single card that's the same in anyone's deck. Now you can get some of the same points at the end of the game by having sets, but they're really different. Did you feel like
getting a set is actually really difficult too, unless like you're really lucky?
Yeah, I have to say that part of the game wasn't that impressive to me. Like get 3 of the same set. And the game comes with this little reference card, again, not enough for every player, of where all the cards are and which of the 3 decks, but it's kind of like, hey, you got a set. I also wasn't a huge fan of the different end of game conditions, the end of the story stuff. That felt like very biased towards the one person who happened to get the points on the 4th turn.
Yeah.
Sure, other players can get points. I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of those, but I did like the difference. Did you like the difference between the characters, how they played differently?
Definitely. I really liked how like one person was like that evil lady who I just happened to play. I just randomly picked one.
You really got into that. You seemed pretty happy you were burning down the library.
Well, it was not until the end when I realized what I was supposed to be doing, though.
Well, that's okay, and that's a good point. This game is not a game I think you'll understand on your first playthrough. It's going to take multiple playthroughs because you're going to and if you play with all the characters, it will take even longer than that because each character plays very differently. And so you got to know when to draw cards, when to play cards.
Yeah.
The game is also not a Euro game. It's not a nice game. I don't know why I went into that. I was looking at this like, oh, this game's pretty fun and everything. You're really in each other's face.
You are.
I mean, like, I'm doing this. I'm using your time units. I mean, the one lady who looks the nicest, the one who's rescuing books, she's constantly wasting other people's time units.
She is.
And it can be really frustrating because you're like, okay, I'm going to use this many time units. Woo, I can't wait to do my turn. Wait, what? Oh, I don't get a turn now?
Yeah. So
I think people who don't like that will dislike this game.
Definitely.
It's really in your face. But the theme is really strong because of that. The theme is get these books, get them out of the library, and the library's burning down. What do you think about how the board is shrinking and you have fewer places to go each turn?
I thought that was slightly interesting, especially when you need like certain things, like because of different tiles. Like if you discard this, you can do this. But when the library is burning down, there's less of those.
It also puts you closer together. So if you were trying to avoid everybody else, so the one character who starts fire starts off pretty strong actually, and her abilities get less and less interesting for her, or less powerful, not interesting. However, at the same time, the chance of someone else burning, which is what she's kind of hoping will happen, is going to happen more often. When she's in a room that starts on fire, that's good. It's harder to do at the beginning of the game, and at the end of the game it gets better.
Yeah. But
But she's also starting to fire. They're like, we're not sure who started the fire. I'm like, we definitely know who's starting the fire.
Or at least provoking it even more.
So what are your overall thoughts on this game?
It was a little bit like fiddly with some certain things. Like, okay, like you could get really lucky with the cards. Like with whatever card you get, like, okay, I guess that's what I'm playing. But I thought it was still fun trying to like go around and do your own objective and stuff like that. So.
What would you rate it?
Like it was busy, but it still looked cool. Probably like a 6.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little higher than Melody. I think I'm going to give this one a 7. I like it a lot. It's definitely a game that needed more development. It's definitely a game of problems. Like one of the biggest problems is each character has some cards that are really good. Give you a special ability every turn. You get that the first turn of the game, that's great. You don't get it till like turn 2 or 3, you're like, I'm spending all my turns drawing cards just so I can get this one great card. That's problematic, I thought. And like I said, there's some component issues, and the game feels slightly more fiddly, but I really liked how asymmetrical it was. I really liked the difference. I liked how strong the theme was. I liked how you were involved no matter what. Like, Melody's doing something like, what are you doing? Oh, and this person putting all the lecterns in one room. Why are you doing that? It's interesting. It's unique. It feels different. So I have to give it points for that. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we think about Alexandria, a library in cinders. Don't burn libraries, kids. Books are important.
Yes,
in fact,
they are.
This game says whoever reads the most books goes first, which would be Melody if she played with anyone but me. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
And Melody.
And you've been watching Double Trouble.
Boom!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.